So Colossians 4:5 says this: walk in wisdom toward outsiders, making the best use of your time, and let your speech always be gracious, seasoned with salt, so that you may know how you ought to answer each person. 1 Peter 3:15 sort of says something similar in talking about, always honor Christ in your heart as Lord, and always being prepared to make a reason or a defense to anyone who asks you for the hope that you have. And then it says, and do so with gentleness and respect. So here's a novel idea. Why don't you just tell your story? It's hard to argue with somebody's story. I mean, people might not want to pay attention to the preacher like me exegeting a text on a Sunday morning. They might want not to talk about doctrine or, that kind of stuff. But it's hard to ignore a life that's been changed. It's hard to ignore somebody's story and how they were cleaned up and just how they found peace. That is what people are looking for. How did you find peace? How did you get there? Like what happened? That's the kind of thing that makes people kind of perk up. And you tell them about how you made your decision to follow Jesus and how he brought peace into your life, how you connected your story with his story. What got you there? 6 times the Apostle Paul through the book of Acts 22-26, 6 times he was by himself and talking to unbelievers about the gospel. And what did he do? Every time he used the same method. He told his personal story. It's just really hard to argue with it. It's that simple. He was once a certain way, and then he met a man named Jesus Christ, and now he's different. It reminds me of that scene in The Chosen where Mary Magdalene is talking to Nicodemus, and she explains, this is what I know, I was one way, and now I'm another, and the difference in between is him. It's really that simple. Revelation 12:11 says that we overcome the enemy, like we actually conquer the enemy by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony, our story, and we don't love our lives even unto death. So don't worry, just tell your story. Don't, just be bold, be gentle, be interesting, be logical, be friendly. Use your smarts. Like, yes, it's true, we are saved by the blood of the Lamb, but you know what? Probably stay away from Christianese, because they might not get that. Being saved by the blood of the Lamb? Ew. What does that mean? Am I supposed to slaughter a lamb to get saved? No. Yet we know what that means, but they don't know what that means. So try to just put it down into plain English. You want to be understood, right? Don't be telling people your entire life story. Well, I was born in New Westminster, and I was in the Royal Columbian Hospital. I was in the 3rd room in the 4th crib. People don't want to hear all that. They want to hear your entire story. But stay on point. Your point is Jesus. So get to the point. Stay on point. Don't get distracted. It's about Jesus. Don't use a lot of Christianese talk. And then, here's the deal. Your story is kind of like a three-part play or a 3-act play. You got Act 1. What was life like before you met Christ? Life before Christ. That's Act 1. Act 2, how I met Christ. Act 3, what is life like now that I met him? So, you don't need to spend a lot of time on Act 1, going into the depths of your sin or going into the glory of your sin. And a lot of people do that. Well, I was the worst guy. You don't need to go into all of that detail. You can say it was bad, and And this is how, like, you use words like I was hopeless, or I was empty, or I was so depressed, or whatever it might be, until something happened. I like using that phrase, until something happened. You know you've got them. You got their interest when they go, well, what happened? Or, well, tell me what happened. Oh, don't leave me hanging there. Come on. So remember also to be in prayer for the people that you're talking to or you want to share your faith with. Evangelism is 99% prayer. It just is. Now, you should also remember that once you do this a time or two, you kind of get hooked. Whereas the YWAMers used to say, you get ruined for the ordinary. You may have heard all your life, don't talk to strangers. But I'm saying, no, talk to strangers. Just use your smarts. Be wise as serpents and as innocent as doves. And as the Hill Street Blues sergeant used to say at the beginning of every episode, and hey, let's be careful out there.